What's up guys, XM360 here, and in today's video I have another Pokemon Go tutorial for you. This one's kind of a beginner's guide on how to find and catch wild Pokemon in the game. So I just wanted to make this for you guys for anybody who might have just started the game and they don't really completely understand where and how to get Pokemon. So the game will start you off with, I believe, around 50 Pokeballs, so you will need Pokeballs to catch Pokemon, and you will eventually run out and need to get more from Pokestops or buy them, but the game does start you off with around 50 to use. So if you're not really putting in much effort to actually actively search for Pokemon, but you leave the app open and your phone's in your pocket, your phone will periodically vibrate to let you know that a Pokemon may be nearby. That is one way to find them, but you can actually go out of your way and go locate them. So the most common way to locate them is you look for the little areas where grass is moving on the map. So you can see some right in front of me right here. I'm going to come to this area over here where I see a bunch of grass moving and leaves moving. And that indicates where a bunch of wild Pokemon are. So this area has like 4 or 5 spots, so that means there's potentially 4 or 5 Pokemon over here, maybe more, maybe less. You just want to stand in this general area where these leaves are rustling around. And as you guys can see, right when I came over here, a wild Weedle appeared, and all you gotta do is throw the Pokeball at him. That's pretty simple and straightforward. You just want to make sure that you're steady and you throw the Pokeball directly at him as far as it needs to go. That way you don't end up wasting it with a bunch of missed tries. And a lot of people will say that turning off AR mode, which just shows them on grass instead of the camera function, a lot of people will say that's easier, so if you are having trouble, you can turn that off. But those are basically 2 of the easiest methods on finding Pokemon in the game, either just leaving the app open with your phone on in your pocket and waiting for it to vibrate, or actually going to those areas where the leaves are rustling and just standing around there until a Pokemon appears. But you actually can get a bit more advanced than that. Now, if you look in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see a little white bar that will display anywhere between 1 to 3 Pokemon, and if you click on it, you can enlarge it and it will display up to 9 Pokemon. Those are the Pokemon that are in your nearby area, and the amount of steps, 1 step, 3 steps, 2 steps, or 0 steps is how far away they are. 3 steps being the furthest, and 0 steps meaning it will appear like immediately somewhere around you. So that's actually a way that you can locate a specific Pokemon. So once you get up to the levels where you're not necessarily trying to catch every Pokemon, but you're hunting down the rare ones, you can then use this method to catch a specific Pokemon, and as you'll see, the ones that I don't have will be colored gray, and the ones that I have caught in the past will be actually colored in. So now that I've reached level 7 and I'm kind of getting up there and I found a lot of different types of Pokemon, I'm now looking for bigger and more rare Pokemon, and as your rank increases, you will find Pokemon that are larger, more rare, and have a higher CP. Now, as you guys just saw, I clicked on the one that was colored in gray, and what that does is it just shows him in the bottom right hand corner, and it shows the 3 steps, meaning I'm pretty far away from him, but he's still kind of nearby. So it doesn't tell you what direction to go in. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to just kind of do a trial and error. Walk in one direction, and if he appears off the map or doesn't show up in that bottom right hand corner, that means you've gone away from him. Walk in another direction, and if he goes down to 2 steps, that means you're getting warmer. Now, I actually prefer this view right here, clicking on that bottom right hand corner and actually opening up all 9 of the Pokemon, because that will tell you if you're getting closer or further to him a bit more detailed. As you guys can see, he's staying at 3 steps this entire time, but as I'm kind of getting a little bit closer and a little bit further, other Pokemon are kind of moving up and down on the list, so he may stay at 3 steps, but he is getting a bit closer to me as he moves towards the top, because the top left hand corner is the one that is closest to you. So when you do click on him specifically and it shows just him in the corner with the 3 footsteps, that doesn't give you as much information, because if you click on the corner and show all 9 Pokemon, he may stay at 3 footsteps the whole time, but you'll see him moving up and back on the list when I'm getting a little bit closer and a little bit further. So I prefer enlarging it to show all 9 Pokemon, because I do think that gives me a bit more detailed information when finding him. And I actually had no luck finding him. I think he might have been somewhere off the road in the woods. It's going to be a lot better if you look in a really suburban or urban area where there's a lot of cross streets, because then there's a lot of road access and most of the Pokemon will spawn up right next to the road and you won't need a detour into woods or paths or anything like that. So what I'll usually do is, once I'm close enough and I'm within maybe 1 or 2 steps, I'll open up the map view and I'll look for rustling leaves, because most of the time the Pokemon that you're looking for will appear as rustling leaves on the map. So as you can see here, this one did appear as a little area of rustling leaves, and I was able to find this one. Now, with some of the rare Pokemon, or some of the bigger ones or larger ones that don't spawn up as often, they won't stay there all day. Sometimes they'll only stay there for maybe like 15 minutes. So you have to get them within a certain amount of time or they'll just end up disappearing. You gotta kind of be fast about it. And more than one person can get the same Pokemon. What me and my friends will usually do is we'll all look for it, and when one of them finds it, he'll go into the Pokeball mode, but he won't actually capture it. He'll kind of just wait just for the rest of us to find it. I don't know if this makes any difference or whether or not it would make it disappear if he caught it, but we usually just do that to be safe. I think as long as you guys all catch it within that 15-minute window or however long it's going to be there before it despawns, you should be all set. Now, that's pretty much all the information I have on that tracking system, and I know the game's only been out for about a week, so all of this information is kind of fresh and not exactly confirmed, but it's pretty much guaranteed to work for you. And I have heard some rumors that more rare and larger Pokemon will spawn up in the nighttime hours. I can't exactly verify that, but I just figured I'd pass it along to you guys. So I just wanted to quickly share with you guys my Pokemon finding method for rare ones. I will usually go out at night and have a friend drive me. I'll sit in the passenger seat and just stay open on that 9 nearby Pokemon screen, the one that shows all of them, and I will just search for anything that I haven't caught yet that may be large or evolved or something with a high CP. And when I find one, I'll have him drive in a certain direction to see if it goes down to 2 footprints. And it's kind of just trial and error. You go in one direction to see if you're getting closer or further away. And a lot of people actually do this method. It's better at nighttime because there's less drivers on the road. It's virtually no drivers on the road at the time we go, and it's easier that way because you can kind of do Uis if you need to. Not driving recklessly, but you don't have to worry about a lot of other drivers on the road or any traffic. And we actually ran into a Weezing last night, a level 280 Weezing, and we saw other people there trying to catch it as well. So a lot of people do like to search at night with friends and sit in the passenger seat while somebody's driving and kind of just search on that nearby Pokemon screen. But that's my exact method for looking for rare Pokemon in the wild. And I had a couple more tips for people that are just beginning and want to find a lot of Pokemon. You each start with around 2 incense, and what that basically is, it's a timer. It's a 30-minute timer that will attract Pokemon to where you are. It'll bring the Pokemon to you so you don't have to go out and find them. So if you know you're going to be sitting at home for the next 30 minutes, you can turn on that incense and keep the app open, and Pokemon will come to you. And I usually get anywhere between 5 to 10 Pokemon within that 30-minute window. So that is a good way for beginners to get a bunch of little wild Pokemon. You don't usually get many rare things. As you guys can see right here, I did actually get lucky and I got a Bulbasaur, which was pretty cool because it's a starter and it's not the starter I chose. So that's another really easy method for beginners to find and catch wild Pokemon. And if you run out of incense, you can get more at Pokestops. You can randomly get them. You can buy some too, I believe, for real world money. And there's also items called lure modules, which you can buy for real world money. They don't start you off with any, and I'm not sure if you can get them from the Pokestops or not, but basically what they do is you can put them on any Pokestop, and you'll see like a pink showering effect on that Pokestop, and that acts as basically incense on that Pokestop. But with incense, only you can see the Pokemon that come to your incense. With a lure module, everybody can see those. So if one friend gets a lure module, you can all use that to collect a bunch of Pokemon. And those lure modules will also last 30 minutes. Now at the Pokestops, you can also get eggs, and the game does start you off with an incubator, and you can get more extra incubators as well. And basically you just throw these eggs in the incubator, and as you walk, the eggs kind of get more heated up, I guess. And after you go 5 kilometers is usually the amount of distance you have to travel. After you go 5 kilometers, the eggs will hatch, and you can get some pretty cool Pokemon that way too. Now I know I just threw a lot of information at you guys, but I wanted to explain all the methods of catching wild Pokemon and rare Pokemon in Pokemon Go. So to just kind of recap, you can leave the app open in your pocket and you can just feel a vibration, and every now and then, it's not very often, but you will get Pokemon this way. A lot of people like to go to the area with rustling leaves because that indicates that there's a wild Pokemon there. And the people that are hunting for a specific Pokemon or a Pokemon they don't have will open up that nearby Pokemon screen to show the 9 or whatever amount there is nearby Pokemon, and that will give you the amount of footsteps and help you track down the Pokemon that you're looking for. You can also use lure modules and incense to bring the Pokemon to you, or you can hatch your own Pokemon from eggs that you get at Pokestops. So that's going to wrap up this complete guide on how to find and catch wild Pokemon in Pokemon Go. If you guys found this video helpful in any way at all, hit that like button down below, and if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button for more amazing Pokemon Go content just like this. So as always guys, thank you for watching from XM360.